Before I start this video, I wanted to let you guys know I'm not grounded anymore. Yes, that deserves an applause.
Hit me, you can, baby. Suck my kiss. Kiss me, baby.
This weekend, even though 4 new releases came out and I'm not grounded anymore, I probably won't be seeing any new movies this weekend, unfortunately. But I had a good idea, in fact, some would call it a great idea, to do a couple of videos this weekend, and my most anticipated movie of the year is Dark Knight Rises, like most people. And I thought, I haven't done a retro review in a while, because I'm very inconsistent with that, and I'm kind of a douchebag when it comes to those videos. What a great way to go and do a retro review while reviewing the first 2 Christopher Nolan Batman movies. So I thought before The Dark Knight Rises comes out this summer, it'd be a good chance to review the first 2 films, because it's probably once the third film comes out, because I know it's going to be good, it might be my favorite film trilogy of all time besides Back to the Future. So Batman Begins is the first entry in the Christopher Nolan trilogy, and it's really a great movie because it's the origin of Batman told that's very loyal to the comics, but while giving itself enough of a twist to be exciting and different, and it's taking a very realistic tone in a very realistic setting, and that's why these films are so great. So it's basically about how Bruce Wayne, the businessman, playboy, entrepreneur, he overcomes his parents' death from a robber named Joe Chill, or a low-life criminal. Basically how he overcomes his fear, of getting over his parents' death and overcoming his fear of bats and becoming the Batman to fight what's all is bad in Gotham, but also trying to show that Gotham is a place of good. And it's a lot of themes going on here, a lot of moral themes, and that's why the film is so great. A lot of people say it's good, but not as good as The Dark Knight. Well, I agree, I like The Dark Knight a little bit better. I feel like this film is a little underrated. I feel like The Dark Knight does have more interesting themes. I think it has a better villain. I think it's a less... I wouldn't say this film isn't cartoonish, but it has to me, it feels like a more serious movie in a way, if that makes sense. It has a more serious tone, even though this one has a really dark tone. Dark Knight just feels more realistic, but I still think this is a great film, and I think it deserves more recognition than The Dark Knight kind of overshadows it. Christian Bale is great as Batman and Bruce Wayne, but I actually kind of like seeing Bruce Wayne in this more. I think they could have had a little bit more of that in The Dark Knight. I think they had enough, but this you really get to understand Bruce, and I feel like they took their time to really develop the backstory and get what you're all about. Like the other Batman movies, the first one with Michael Keaton, you get like 10 minutes of possible backstory sprinkled throughout, but this, like, the whole first 45 minutes are, like, really setting up what this guy's about and how he becomes the Batman. I love how they explain everything. I like how they explain, the concept of the bat suit. I love how they explain how he gets his weapons. Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman, who's always great. I love the relationship between him, Lucius, and Alfred. I think everything they just explained so well, everything that in the comics that wouldn't translate into a real-life, gritty, serious film, they explained so well, and that's a tough thing to do. The realism and the tone is what makes the movie so great, because when you think Batman, you think, like, okay, they're fun movies, but they're silly, and how can you make this concept kind of cool without making it... You can make it a dark story. I mean, look, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City do that, but you can still tell it's like a superhero. This feels like almost like a crime. The whole series is almost like a crime saga with superhero elements. So the film is very dark. The lighting is very dark throughout the whole film. Very gloomy, depressing kind of state. And that's, that's good directing by Christopher Nolan, because that's the city Gotham is. It's a shithole, it's a city filled with scum. So it's a really good tone, really good direction in that aspect. The action is good. I think it's stronger in The Dark Knight and there's more of it, but here it's not really about the action. It's almost seeing like how he becomes Batman through the action, how the action feels like a little bit more staged, because it's him trying to use this technology for the first time. So the action sequences don't really get thrilling until the end, but that's fine because it's Bruce Wayne trying to figure out how to use the technology. And when Bruce Wayne when Batman's first presence on the film, when he first becomes the Batman, he takes down those Falcone thugs. That was a lot of fun to watch. Christian Bale's voice is not as goofy as it is in The Dark Knight. It's all, this city is full of good people, ready to believe in good. Here it's a little bit more dialed back. It's still a little silly, but you could still, he's enunciating a little bit more instead of it's like, you tell him to go back to the Batcave and hide out for a little bit. I'll be back a little bit later. So he's a little bit more intelligible here, but not by much. I really like Batman Begins. The only problems I have are really minor, and they're barely even worth bringing it up. One is that the, Arkham Asylum that's in the movie, and some parts of Gotham, you can tell are really, really obvious sets. It kind of took me out of it. Like, I was getting into this world of realism, and then you kind of see a set like, oh man, and kind of took me out of it. But I got over that pretty quickly. But they were fairly obvious, and I liked how The Dark Knight, they didn't use any sets at all, really. Scarecrow is in the film, the villain Scarecrow, Dr. Crane. He's one of my favorite Batman villains. He's in my top 3. I would say it probably goes Joker, then Scarecrow, then Bane, or Bane and Scarecrow kind of interchange between the second and third spot. I wish there was more of him. While they develop him enough, and he is pretty creepy when he uses that fear gas, I wish I could see more of him, and I wish he would have been a little bit more like he was in the comics, like where he actually kind of takes on the form of Scarecrow. And I know that wouldn't really work in a real-life world, like how would you dress up a guy like that, but I don't know. Maybe because I just loved that character so much that I thought they could have used him more. But he has been reported on the set of The Dark Knight Rises, so Scarecrow might make a return in that like he did in The Dark Knight. But those are my minor complaints. Overall, Batman Begins, it's a great film. If you're going to see The Dark Knight Rises and you haven't seen The Dark Knight or Batman Begins, or if you've seen The Dark Knight but you haven't seen Batman Begins, definitely watch it because it's a great movie, and I think it's a little overshadowed by The Dark Knight's, glory. So I'm going to give it 4.5 stars out of 5. It's a great first film in the trilogy. It's a great setup and origin, and they really take their time. It's just a good, solid superhero film that really takes time and really cares about its characters and makes you care about the characters. So it's a great introduction to this Nolan world of Batman. Great film. Dark Knight will be coming next. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.
Hit me, you can, baby. Suck my kiss. Kiss me, people, love me.